What happens when one of Hollywood's most respected actors is confronted by a talk show host who thrives on confrontation? The result is one of the most unforgettable showdowns ever broadcast on television, a moment where integrity collided with ego, and where calm wisdom silenced calculated cruelty. The scene was set in a packed studio, lights glaring, audience buzzing. Denzel Washington entered with quiet grace, taking his seat across from Bill Maher, the famously sharp-tongued host. From the start, Maher was already leaning into his signature condescension, welcoming Denzel with a backhanded compliment. "Nice to have someone who's actually done something meaningful," Maher smirked, setting the tone for a conversation that was clearly more of a trap. Denzel, ever composed, responded with measured words, acknowledging others' efforts in the industry. But Maher pressed on, mocking modern actors, social media performers, and what he called the TikTok generation. He insisted that only actors like Denzel, with stage roots and real talent, were worth respect. But Denzel didn't take the bait. Calmly, he defended all forms of creative expression, stating that dismissing entire generations because their art looks different is a fundamental misunderstanding of what creativity is. Maher pushed harder, claiming most young creators couldn't survive performing Shakespeare in the Park, implying they lacked substance. Denzel countered with grace, "Art evolves. Every generation finds its own voice." As the interview progressed, the tension thickened. Maher accused modern artists of being nothing more than marketers. Denzel, unfazed, questioned who decides what counts as real art, throwing Maher's own relevance into question. "What have you created that gives you the right to decide what's valuable?" he asked pointedly. Maher tried to defend his show as a place for real conversations, but Denzel wasn't convinced. He called Maher out for turning honest dialogue into viral sound bites, using guests as punchlines instead of engaging in real discussions. When Maher claimed to be a truth teller, Denzel responded with a brutal truth of his own: "You're not a truth teller. You're just another bully with a microphone." The studio was silent, the tension now impossible to ignore. Maher, clearly rattled, accused Denzel of taking things personally. But Denzel had had enough of the host's antics. "Wisdom doesn't come from tearing others down," he said. "It comes from lifting them up." Still, Maher wouldn't let go, calling Denzel's position feel-good nonsense and implying that honesty required cruelty. Denzel shut him down. "You think hurting people is brave? Real courage is using your voice to lift others." The clash reached a peak when Maher accused Denzel of hiding behind Hollywood glamour and asked when he last said something that could cost him a role. Denzel hit back hard: "I've watched you tear down dreamers for years. You profit off cynicism and call it honesty." As the confrontation grew more heated, it became clear to everyone watching Maher wasn't interested in conversation. He was trying to dominate, discredit, and demean. But Denzel refused to play that game. With calm authority, Denzel stood up and removed his mic. "I thought I was coming here for a respectful exchange," he said, turning toward the audience. "But I see now that this platform isn't about understanding, it's about humiliation." Maher panicked, tried to keep the show going, even pleaded for Denzel to sit back down. But it was too late. The dignity that Denzel carried from the moment he walked in had already overpowered the arrogance in the room. His parting words were not for Maher but for the audience. "Real intelligence is humble. Real wisdom is kind. Real strength doesn't come from crushing others." With that, Denzel walked off the set, leaving Maher standing alone under the lights, exposed not by scandal, but by a simple refusal to tolerate disrespect. This was more than an interview gone wrong. It was a masterclass in integrity. One man tried to provoke, the other chose not to stoop, and in doing so, Denzel Washington reminded the world that sometimes silence in the face of cruelty is the loudest statement of all. Whose side are you on? Was Denzel right to walk out? Comment below and don't forget to subscribe for more stories where truth, respect, and courage take center stage.